everyone, so as you can see I have my friend Elwood here.
Hello.
Because as Infinity War is about a week away, we are literally 1 week away from seeing Infinity War. We're filming this on Sunday and we're seeing Infinity War next Sunday because we're at school, so we actually can't watch it on a weekday, which is a bit of an annoyance. But to sort of build our anticipation for the film, we thought I thought I was going to make, my sort of rank and talk about some of my favourite MCU films, but I thought that obviously Elwood here has also seen every single MCU film in cinemas, which is,
that's pretty good.
I think, we're the most qualified generation to talk about it. We've been growing up with the cinematic universe. And so I thought that we'd rank our top 7 films and then we'd talk about some of the other films. For me, the 2 weakest is Thor: The Dark World and Incredible Hulk. What do you think of these two?
I thought Thor: The Dark World was very disappointing. I was quite excited for it when I was because I was quite excited for the Thor movie, and I was like, and then I kind of watched it in cinemas, and I was like, well, this is pretty. Yeah,
well,
pretty
for
shocking.
me, the reason I see these two as the weakest is because they're the most forgettable.
Oh yeah,
they're not bad films and they're not good films. They're just kind of in the middle, and of course, bad films can be very memorable.
Yeah.
But these films are just incredibly forgettable, so I think we should just leave it there. Tom Hiddleston's good though. Let's talk about Iron Man's 2 and 3, which are also seen as some of the weaker films.
Yeah.
Even though I like them, I don't know what you think.
I liked 2 more than I liked 3.
Yeah, okay.
I thought 3, the kid I found quite annoying.
Right, and I like the direction that they took with it to a certain extent because, of course, Shane Black is the director, and I'm a big fan of Shane Black and his subversion of certain genres, but I just think a lot of the things that he was trying to do here didn't work. Some things did work. And with Iron Man 2, I think it didn't live up to number 1. But what I did like about it was that it's still a lot of fun. And it introduces number 1 to War Machine, number 2 to Black Widow, and to Justin Hammer, Sam Rockwell's character, who I think we can agree is one of the more underrated MCU characters. Whether or not we're actually going to get to see him again, it's probably unlikely because the direction that the MCU is going, and of course Sam Rockwell just won an Oscar, so I don't know if you want to play one of these roles. I want to talk about Ant-Man next, because I'm sure it's not on either of our lists.
No, it isn't.
I don't know if you know this, but Edgar Wright was meant to direct Ant-Man.
That's disappointing.
Because of certain creative differences, he didn't
make it. Yeah.
But a lot of his ideas were in there, and of course Peyton Reed took over. And personally, by the way, I think that if Edgar Wright had directed it, it probably would have been like top 5 for me. But Peyton Reed took over, and Ant-Man was still a fun, enjoyable
it was a fun movie.
Let's talk about, I guess the first Thor film. Because here's the thing, a lot of people say it's quite bad and very forgettable, but I also quite like it for similar reasons that I like Iron Man 3, because it kind of shows you the superhero behind, like the man behind the mask, so to speak, because this film literally and metaphorically brings Thor down to earth. And so it shows the more vulnerable side of the character, and it makes you relate to him a lot more. And for me, this is Tom Hiddleston's best performance as Loki. I think the writing with the character is very, very complex. Because in Ragnarok, which we'll talk about in just a bit, he's basically a good guy. And in Thor: The Dark World, he's an anti-hero type guy. And with Avengers, he's a straight-up villain. So you're really left with Avengers or Thor. And for me, his motivation in Avengers was just to invade, and there wasn't really much behind it. Whereas with this one, you really understood why he was doing what he's doing. Very similar to Killmonger. But there were also a lot of flaws, like for one, that all the Dutch angles, how you're looking at everything from like a tilted angle. The action scenes are decent, and I think Kenneth Branagh did a good job with the direction.
Destroyer was underused.
Oh, okay.
And also it introduced you to Hawkeye.
So it was a decent film with good characters, but not great on the whole. Okay, let's talk about some of the more recent ones, like Guardians 2 and Spider-Man: Homecoming. Both films I think have good villains. Good villains, Michael Keaton, Kurt Russell. But overall, I think Guardians 2 actually, for me, is one of the best looking Marvel films.
Yeah, no, definitely.
Visual effects, cinematography is all amazing.
I think the problem was Guardians 2, it had to live up to Guardians 1, because that was it was so well loved by everyone that it had such a high like barrier
to break,
but
it was still good. I liked that it furthered like characters like Rocket, like Yondu, but
and
overall
also Drax. It also furthers Drax, like how it's changed since he has found his new family.
In terms of Spider-Man: Homecoming, a very enjoyable film with a great villain, like I said. and it's very fun and very rewatchable. It definitely works on rewatch.
Yeah.
But it's just kind of forgettable. Like,
yeah,
a lot of the times I go back thinking about MCU films, I don't remember Spider-Man Homecoming.
I was thinking that. I think of, I don't know why, I still think of it as kind of a Sony movie. Like, I don't think of it as a Marvel movie.
But Tom Holland's great, and so is Michael Keaton. The entire cast is great, and I'm very much looking forward to seeing Tom Holland in Infinity War.
Also love his friend.
Oh, right, Ned.
Ned. He's good.
Let's talk about Captain America, the first Avenger. Because when I saw this film for the first time, I kind of fell in love with it, and I really enjoyed it. I think they used the World War II setting really well. Yeah. And to be honest, if this had been a top 10 list instead of a top 7, I think that the first Avenger really would have made it on for me, because the messages and the themes that they explore in this film are incredible. I loved Stanley Tucci's character talking about, how the small man doesn't he appreciates power, the one who hasn't known power all his life. And of course Hugo Weaving, one of the stronger MCU villains as Red Skull.
Yeah.
So overall I thought that was a very, very underrated MCU film. I don't know
Yeah, well, I feel like that was the movie that brought me into the MCU. I think I remember going to watch it in the movies, and I was like, I want to learn more about this, pretty much. And I thought it was a great movie at the time. And I'd say it's probably on the top 10 list as well.
There are a few films left before top 7, one of which just edges out for me. And I know a lot of people hate this film and say it's one of the weaker ones, but it's Age of Ultron.
Oh, yeah?
Okay. I understand why people don't like it, because it's a big bloated mess of a film and characters are all over the place and the setups after setups.
Yeah.
But for me, this has some of the most iconic moments in the series. Yeah. Whether it's the first fight, the last fight, the Hulkbuster fight. James Spader as Ultron, I thought was actually very good.
I thought he was pretty good.
Tonally, it didn't really deliver on the darker tone that they had promised.
Yeah.
But the feeling of seeing my favorite superheroes on cinematic superheroes on screen for the second time, it's a good feeling.
Yeah.
You get introduced to characters like Vision, Scarlet Witch, and Quicksilver. Of course, Quicksilver
dies. I mean, I think that's kind of what they meant by darker. Is that they're going to the death of Quicksilver? We met him.
But it's, even though it doesn't really function as a film as well as it could have, I think Joss Whedon tried his best. The farmhouse scene, I thought, was one of the few things that I was like, wow, you could definitely see Whedon's input. This is the characters really worked in that farmhouse scene. Yeah. And the action was great. But just as a film, I don't think it worked very well. But for me, I still really enjoy it.
I remember going to watch it again. I mean, I enjoyed it. But it just doesn't. It just didn't live up to Avengers 1, in my opinion.
I think that now we're onto our top 7.
Yeah, I think.
And I think that our number 7, I have an idea of your list, and I'm pretty sure you have an idea of my list. But our number 7 was probably going to be slightly different. What is your number 7?
My number 7 is Guardians of the Galaxy.
And my number 7 is Doctor Strange. So, do you want to talk about these two first?
Yeah. So I like Guardians. I thought it was a great. It was a kind of a curveball from the MCU. It was unexpected. Yeah, I wasn't expecting it to be this good of a movie. I didn't know much about the Guardians of the Galaxy before, and I love it. It was a great movie. I thought it was fun to watch. I think maybe the villain could have been a bit better.
Oh yeah.
But otherwise, I thought it was a good movie overall.
In terms of Guardians, for me, I was really excited. I was one of 10 people who was just pumped for this film, even before the trailer came out. And when the trailer came out, everyone was just mad about it. And when the film came out, everyone was mad about it. But I really liked it. I would probably give it a B+ or an A-, which is a great score.
It's a good score, yeah.
But I don't know, it just didn't have that enough of the. It just wasn't that good in my opinion. I rewatched it 2 weeks ago and I still really enjoy it, and I still think it's a great film. But for me, it's not top 5 or anything.
Yep.
Whereas with Doctor Strange, number 1, I think that Doctor Strange is what Scott Derrickson, the director, and the visual effects team were able to do is just next level.
Especially the end bit.
I know it's a lot like Iron Man. It's sort of like magic version of Iron Man.
Yeah. No,
but I still enjoy it, and I still think it's a very, very. It's a film that really works. And I think that the reason I like it slightly more than Guardians was that I think that number 1, it was just, for me, the film that I wanted to rewatch more. I was just more intrigued by. I enjoyed it a little bit more. I thought Benedict Cumberbatch was great.
Yeah.
Both films have underutilized actors, great actors in terms of the villains. Mads Mikkelsen, one of the best actors in Hollywood, was kind of wasted.
Moment,
but I think that both films, one of the things that they do really well is the third act and how they tackle the third act, because Guardians had a great third act.
Yeah, it was good.
The action scene was amazing,
Yeah.
and the dance-off bit I thought was a great subversion of your average superhero movie third act. And so was Doctor Strange with the Dormammu I come to bargain thing. So I think they're both solid films.
What's good about both of them, it gives like a perspective of what happens in the MCU out of
On a
Earth.
wider scale,
on a
exactly.
wider scale, which I thought was good about
They showed
both
us
of them.
that the MCU has so much more to offer.
Yeah, like the magic from Doctor Strange, and also
space.
like the space.
Yeah,
aspect
great
from-
point. And I think we both had the same number 6, I'm guessing, which is
Ragnarok.
that Thor Ragnarok. Okay.
Yeah, Thor Ragnarok.
For me, this is by far the most entertaining out of all the MCU films.
Yeah,
If we're
definitely.
just talking about fun, Thor Ragnarok is probably the best.
I think one of the best characters in the MCU, just because he's so funny, he was Korg. He's just great.
Yeah, it's by far the funniest MCU film.
Yeah, definitely.
Taika Waititi killed it, both in terms of the comedic, the dramatic, the action. This is one of the few comic
the
book
colours
films.
as well.
I was about to say
colours.
the use of color, the way the action scenes are shot, edited, framed, everything. This is one of the few comic book films where I'm watching it and genuinely feels like you're reading a comic book.
Yeah, definitely.
There's a lot of influence from comic book artists.
Yeah.
There's the
Also,
colours, of
a lot
course,
of
the visual
like
effects.
not cameos, but like a lot of comic book references also in this movie, which kind of
definitely.
makes it good.
You can tell that it's made by people who genuinely give a shit about comics.
Exactly.
And this is for me my favorite Chris Hemsworth performance,
Oh,
maybe
yeah.
ever, maybe in the MCU.
Yeah, probably.
Tom Hiddleston again is great. You have Tessa Thompson coming in, Idris Elba returning.
Yeah, Idris Elba
you
was
have
good.
Mark Ruffalo in this film. You have Kate motherfucking Chet in this film.
Yeah,
who,
she was
if you
great,
watched
she
my
was great.
video essay on her, you haven't seen it. But I talked a lot about how Kate Blanchett has the coolest voice in Hollywood. Her voice
Her voice is pretty.
is so cool.
I think it's quite a badass voice.
It's such a badass voice.
Yeah.
I just think that overall the film is so cool, so fun, so energetic, so
Yeah, definitely.
vibrant.
And even like the small bits, like I think like Hulk going to fight. What's his name?
Surtur?
Surtur. That's it. Yeah. Like just the small bits just make you.
It's really, really good. It's
Yeah, it's
really,
a great
really
movie.
good. By the way, this is a Sunday. Westworld Season 2 is coming out today. Tessa Thompson is in both, so I thought I'd say that because I'm so motherfucking pumped for Westworld. What's our number 5? What's your number 5?
Iron Man.
Same. Okay, so I think our list is pretty similar.
Pretty much similar. Yeah.
This is the one that started it all. This
Yeah,
is
definitely.
Iron Man. I think is just a classic. I would probably give this film an A+, just because number one, it's a brilliant film,
It's a great film.
and the impact that it had on superhero films.
I mean,
it's unprecedented.
I think it started
Everything.
Started the comic films pretty much.
John Favreau as a director in this film killed it.
Yeah.
The cinematography here, because the first 3 Marvel films were shot on film, not digital.
Yeah.
And the cinematography here by Matthew Libatique, who does a lot of work for Darren Aronofsky, was amazing. And Robert Downey Jr. in this film is great.
Great, yeah,
I mean,
it's great.
he was the one that started it all. And I think that's the biggest praise that we can give to this film, is that it's been the inspiration for so many films to come.
Yeah, I mean, like I'd like to go back to the cinematography bit, like the first shot of the Jericho missile.
Oh yeah, and
That's
then when
like
he does
the first
this,
shot, yeah.
and
it's just like it's
the writing,
out and out. It's just
the
great.
dialogue,
Yeah.
everything, and Jeff Bridges as the villain.
Yeah, he was great.
He was great, and he's a very underrated part of the MCU. And a lot of you might not notice that's Jeff Bridges because he's got a shaved head.
Yeah.
But I thought that overall Iron Man is just such an inspirational
great
film,
movie.
such an influential film. On to number 4 is
I got Black Panther.
okay. So we have.
Black
I'm
Panther.
guessing it's the same list from now on. The least Marvel MCU feeling film.
Feeling film, yeah.
Because a lot of the issues that people have brought up with the MCU in the last couple of years, whether it's the fact that these films may not look as good as they could be,
Yeah.
whether the music isn't as good, the
Oh no,
score.
that was thrown out. Of the
Ryan
window.
Coogler comes in with Rachel Morrison as the cinematographer.
He just blows
One of the
that
best looking
out of the
MCU
water.
films, one of the best sounding MCU films, one of the best acted MCU
I think-
films with Chadwick Boseman,
yeah.
Michael B. Jordan
Jordan,
as
one of my
the best
favourite
villain-
actors at the
villain.
moment.
All right, okay.
Yeah, he's great.
One of the best villains, and this is one of the Marvel films where I'm looking at it and I'm like, there is a genuine sense of artistry behind it.
Yeah, definitely.
And
I thought Kendrick Lamar's soundtrack was great.
oh my god.
Yeah, that was great.
It
Like,
has one of the best ensemble casts.
Yeah, definitely.
That is an Infinity War, because Infinity War has to.
And it was also jokey as well, and had
Yeah.
pop culture references.
It had a little bit of everything.
Yeah, it was just great.
And above all, it had the emotion.
Yeah.
It had the genuine sense of you rooting for the character, you understanding why each character is there, why they're doing what they're doing, why they want to do what they're doing. And it's just such a well-made film. It has certain issues. Like, for me, my biggest issue with the film is the overuse of visual effects in some scenes. Like, like the last cave fight when T'Challa fights Killmonger, which is all completely CGI. And I just thought that sometimes the film felt too reliant on CGI. And for me, the best scenes were the ones that were done practically.
Yeah, but then also I thought one of my favourite scenes which was a good use of CGI, is when he goes to, like, see his father in, like, the spirit land.
Oh,
that's
wow.
like beautiful.
Yeah,
like,
beautiful
scene.
So yes, Black Panther is definitely up there for us. Aside from being a great superhero film, it's just a brilliant piece of filmmaking.
Yeah.
Number 3, what is your number?
I've got Civil War.
Okay, so this is where we swap round. I've got Winter Soldier. Do you want to talk about Civil War first?
So yeah, I thought Civil War was a great movie. I thought it showed, like, the conflict. Yeah, we went to see it together. The conflict between Cap and Iron Man. I thought it was great. The central focus of the whole film. I thought it was a great film, but I just don't know.
You don't like it quite as much as Winter Soldier.
Yeah, I just didn't like it as much.
Well,
as Winter
for me
Soldier.
with Civil War, I think they took what was good with Winter Soldier and applied it to every character in the MCU, and they applied it on a large scale. The airport fight is to this day, to right now, because obviously the final fight in Infinity War, we never know.
It could be amazing. Yeah.
But the airport fight to this very day, I think, is probably the best in superhero movie history.
Yeah, of course. Yeah,
and all the action scenes are so well done. You're introduced to Black Panther, which is just that was great. That was
great.
Spider-Man, so important.
Yeah.
And again, the central focus of this conflict between Steve and Tony and the relationship between Steve and Bucky was just so integral to not only the film itself but to the MCU as a whole.
And you could also tell that, like, I thought, like, the chemistry between Cap and Bucky was like
Sebastian Stan, Chris Evans. Oh my god, so good.
You could like, if you didn't see it before, you could think that they were brothers off screen or something.
One of the things I think that they were able to achieve so well with this film was give every single character their own small moment.
Yeah.
Because there are going to be people who went to see that film just for Hawkeye or something.
Yeah.
And Hawkeye has his moment.
And, like, Ant-Man has his moment when he goes big.
Yeah. And also the villain, played by Daniel Bruhl, I thought served this purpose, and I thought Daniel Bruhl played him very well. But for me, the main villain was each other.
Yeah, yeah.
Cap's villain was Tony, Tony's villain was Cap.
That's why I think mine was a bit... like, just not as good as Winter Soldier, because I thought the villain just I know what he tried to do, but I thought in my opinion, like, the villain was what wasn't part of the story.
Okay, he felt too detached.
Yeah, I thought he was a bit too detached, and I thought the real villain was each other exactly.
So let's just talk about Winter Soldier.
Yeah,
which is my number 3, and your number 1. Okay,
yeah.
Thor Ragnarok does for Thor what Winter Soldier does for Captain America.
Yeah.
And that it's a reinvention of the character, and you looking at the character from a new perspective, because from watching Captain America in his first film and then the Avengers, he was not necessarily your favourite Avenger, he was just kind of like the nice guy.
Yeah.
But Winter Soldier turned him into a badass. Like, you know that scene where he just, like, lobs a knife into the guy and then just, like, kicks a knife into him or something?
Oh, yeah.
And then, like, the guy, he just kicks a guy off a boat.
Oh, yeah, no,
that is
great.
So cool.
Oh yeah, and it's just so much different. Like, I mean, even like I thought for Winter Soldier, why it's number 1 for me. I loved Bucky as, like,
the Winter Soldier.
As the Winter Soldier, I thought he was great.
So badass.
But then, like, the whole Hydra being S.H.I.E.L.D., that threw me off completely.
I think this is one of the few MCU films that has a proper plot twist.
Oh yeah, definitely.
And that, so the storytelling aspect works really well.
Yeah, and then you could really, and also it stays true to the first Captain America, so it has, like, the Hydra, the callbacks
to Peggy.
Yeah, Peggy, exactly. Also, he wears his old suit in the final scene. He wears his old... So I like...
The villain, played by Robert Redford, I thought... The main villain...
Oh, yeah, he was great. He was great.
A very different type of MCU villain who operated through intellect and not so much power in terms of physical power.
Yeah.
But for me, by far the best thing about this film are the action sequences and how they display Steve's skills and how they show him as such a different character, because he's a fucking badass in this film. Elevator fight, and highway fight.
Yeah, one of the other ones that I think that you don't remember because of all the other good ones.
Yeah.
Is the fight when Samuel Jackson's in the car.
The car chase.
Yeah, the car chase. That's
one of the best car chase scenes in MCU.
Yeah, definitely.
Up there with the black SUV chase from Black Panther.
Yeah. I thought that was great.
Just reinvents everything. It took everything you thought you knew about Captain America and turns it on its head.
Yeah, exactly.
And the subversion is just one of the reasons I love this film. The last film that we haven't talked about, which is my number 1 and your number 2,
yeah,
is the original Avengers. This film, I think, of course, we talk a lot about how Iron Man sort of reinvented and changed it all. This film was the one that took it to the next level.
Yeah, I remember going, like, watching, going to the park, the park before this film, and everyone, I was like, what, 12, 11 when it came out? And I was like, I just remember, like, no, all my friends had never heard of, like, the MCU before, and I was like, this is the film, this is the film you have
For me,
to see.
it's up there with films like Force Awakens, La La Land, Kingsman, and probably Infinity War in being one of the most memorable cinema-going experiences.
Yeah.
Because I can imagine Infinity War being pretty memorable.
I mean, I don't think, like, as we've done, like, a couple of days ago, we booked our tickets to see Infinity War, and there was already tickets being bought. I think
and all that is because of
Avengers. And I was like, Avengers was like the Infinity War. That's what started all of this, I feel like. All this hype of people wanting to see everything before it even come out. I think that started, remember. I remember feeling that feeling.
The level of anticipation.
Yeah, exactly.
And
seeing every, like, superhero that you've... Like, seeing every superhero that you've seen in single movies just
combined,
put together.
And, you know, talking of the characters, every single one has an arc. They change throughout the course of the film. And the action scenes are great. And I think that one of the things that Joss Whedon is able to do so well that I haven't really seen as much of with the Russo brothers is that he's able to orchestrate these incredible, epic sequences where it's like these long take shots of
like
motion
like
shots.
The one in the big fight scene.
Yeah, it's like this sweeping long take.
Iron Man flies over, and then it's like
Hawkeye, and then you have the Hulk,
and it's Hulk and Thor on the big worm thing.
It's just,
and then
this is something that I haven't really seen from the Russo brothers, whose action filmmaking is of a slightly different style.
More cuts.
A lot slightly different, a more grounded style, and I just loved everything about the Avengers. I think that in terms of what it's trying to be, it is perfect.
And I feel like that shot of panning around the whole Avengers is amazing.
For me, that is top 5 most iconic shots of all time.
Yeah, exactly. And
top 5.
It's a great scene.
So yeah, that is our top whatever for
top 7
Marvel films, and we are incredibly excited to see Infinity War. With the next week or so, I'll be putting out a couple more videos leading up to Infinity War, and of course the review on Sunday. So thank you very much for watching. Elwood thank you very much to Elwood who's joined us. So yeah, thank you.
Thank you.